What if everything the building industry believes about design is backwards?
So 80% of plans that get drawn never get built. And that's purely because of that disconnect with pricing.
One designer discovered the radical solution.
So for me, it's 75%. So 75% of the plans that we draw proceed to construction.
From a burnt-out family business to revolutionising how builders and designers work together.
So builder-led design is effectively collaboration, trying to involve anyone that has a massive impact on the project as early as we possibly can.
Today we expose the shocking truth about why projects fail, the game-changing concept of builder-led design, and how one simple shift in approach is transforming the entire construction industry. This is about transformation from conflict to collaboration.
Ray, big thank you for coming in.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
It's your conversation I've had in the back of my mind for a while. And then when I reached out to you the other day and you said something on that call, and like I said, my ears pricked up. I thought, awesome. This conversation definitely needs to happen. And there's been a few evolutions with you and the businesses you've been a part of. And so I'm really keen to dive into that. But let's, again, going back through the story and how you got here, because at the moment, the awesome future ahead is Story Lab.
Yes.
And what you're doing there. And the term that you raised with me on that call the other day was
Builder-led design.
Builder-led design.
Yeah, that's right.
And so no doubt, just at the hearing of that, a lot of builders are going to be listening in. But I want to go through the background that has allowed you to arrive at this point.
Yeah, sure.
So if you can walk us through where your journey in the construction space started.
Industry? Yeah, absolutely. So I was working for Dad, who ran a construction company when I was 14, 15. He was paying me $5 an hour to labour for him on school holidays.
Okay.
So I started quite early in the industry, family business, of course. Mm-hmm. I then started my apprenticeship fresh out of school. So I always wanted to get into the design or, construction management side of things, but I wanted to have a trade background as well. So I did my apprenticeship in 3 years, finished that with a broken wrist, which pushed me into an office role a bit earlier than I'd anticipated.
Okay.
So I moved down to Sydney, followed my now wife down there for study, and got some experience.
So you had the injury up here with your dad?
Yeah, not on site, snowboarding, so I can't claim it was a work related injury. But
and where were you snowboarding?
Down at Perisher.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, not doing anything silly. Just one of those little unfortunate injuries that
I've heard of plenty of those. Snowboarding, I can imagine you just sit back and it's like, that's ice. That wasn't snow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it's plagued me now for a little while. I've had 4 surgeries and all the rest of it, and it's still broken. I've now got a prosthetic bone in its place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had that injury, then pushed you off site?
Yeah, pushed me off site. And
you still wanted at that stage, you knew you wanted to stay within construction?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Okay. Why? Why stay?
I always wanted to stay.
To you?
Yeah, I always wanted to stay within the construction industry. The apprenticeship was more a starting point. So I wanted to have that practical experience and that on-site experience before I did anything else.
Okay. And when you started that apprenticeship and you said you want to get that practical experience, what did you perceive the direction is that you were heading in? Where did you want to ultimately gain experience in order to get to where?
At that point, it was more management. So I wanted to be running a building company.
Okay.
That was my primary goal at that time.
Okay. And so injury and then with your wife.
Yeah, straight after injury, me and my wife had been together for 6 months at that point. We weren't married yet or anything like that. She got into medicine down in Sydney.
Yep.
And finishing my apprenticeship with the broken wrist, I was ready for a change.
Okay.
So I packed up, moved down, and bought our first house down there. And I was working for a similar, small building company that did a bit more commercial work as well.
Okay.
But I was their estimator.
How much experience had you had in estimating prior to that?
None.
Okay.
None. So what appealed to him about my experience was the fact that having that construction ability and experience, the way that he priced and the way that he estimated followed the construction sequence. Okay. So the training aspect of that was quite simple for him. Yeah. And then I, being quite naturally good with technology and the rest of that sort of thing as well, sort of picked that up quite well and then introduced design to that company while I was down there.
Okay. You introduced design to that company. Talk me through that.
So during school, I obviously did all the graphic design and everything else with that. Did quite well with that in school. And then I'd done quite a few training courses in ArchiCAD, the program that I draw with, during the time that I was off injured before I got that job in Sydney.
And that was just due to interest?
Interest and
passion?
upskill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was ideally trying to get into the design industry at that point, or looking for a way to get into a building company in another role.
Okay.
Because my experience was only on site, so I needed some sort of.
I find that's interesting and fascinating. Just this, like the combo there already starting.
Yeah.
I had in mind that it only started when we met, 5 years ago. Like it was then only coming in. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no. So I started designing for them under their building license. Yeah. I think it was within the first year of working with them.
And what sort of design work did that look like at that stage?
A bit of everything. So we did renos and extensions. Mainly they were a little bit smaller at that point. We did a couple of second stories with my experience, but we did a fair bit of work for like commercial facilities. So we did Ream Australia. I've got an R&D facility down in Hornsby. No, that's not Hornsby. That one was Ryde. So we did some major infrastructure changes, driveways and car parking facilities and gatehouses and entries for them. Did a server lab as well for them, which is quite an interesting project. So
in like computer servers?
Yeah, computer servers. So that was the whole Southern Hemisphere for Ream Australia.
Whoa.
We had to renovate that and keep that live during the work. So
wow.
Really, really interesting project. There was anti-static floors and all this other gear that we had to work around and implement. Hornsby War Memorial down there. I did a war memorial, a heritage listed site.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When you think back on that time, what was something that you still utilize or pull knowledge or experience from today?
Oh, that was a huge, Sydney's another kettle of fish, eh?
Okay.
Sydney's wild in terms of like design and planning.
Okay.
There's something like 47 councils across Sydney. So suburb to suburb, the planning rules and restrictions change.
Sure.
So every single site, there was so much research and so much development in the project side of things. It was hard to, it was a huge learning experience for me to really get myself up to speed. And then obviously coming back to Brisbane, effectively got 3 or 4 because we got Logan, Brisbane, Moreton, Redlands.
Okay.
That's our primary.
Yep.
And the planning rules between them are quite similar.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's not too much difference. But yeah, there's so much more heritage and so much more control that nearly every project went through DAs.
Wow. Okay. And so then you worked with this company.
Yep.
Brought design in. What evolution did you start to see within the company from that point onwards?
Obviously a lot more in-house. So being their estimator as well, we used to get a lot of architectural tenders that come our way. And the amount of work for seemingly no result most of the time was...
What do you mean by that?
So we were just pricing everything that came across our desk, right? And the architectural tenders are massive documents, as I'm sure everyone can understand. And most of those jobs didn't turn out to be projects. Like people were just fishing, or architects were fishing around for other prices, or they had their preferred builders, but they'd promise the client they'd get 3 prices, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where the design and construct model, obviously a much better conversion. You're building that
when
relationship.
Someone came to you for help with both.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Or redesign as well.
Yeah,
if they came to us with something that was well above their budget, we started going, well, we could do this instead. That would be within your budget. And obviously seeing a much better conversion rate as a result.
Yeah, wow. That concept, I know we're going to dive into it more, but that concept really plays on my mind.
Yeah.
Just the whole designing within a budget. But yeah, we'll get there. Okay, so then at what stage did you then come back up to Brisbane?
So that all happened pretty quick. So my wife finished medicine down there in Sydney. She wanted to move back up to Brisbane, and I did too at the time. But placement, so she was a second preference. So we were sort of on a ballot box hoping to get one, and just happened to be up here on the Christmas holidays, and she got the call.
Oh, great.
So she stayed, and I basically packed up the house, and we moved up within, I think it was about 6 weeks after that.
Okay.
So it was pretty quick. Sold the house, moved up.
Yeah. And then was it just expected that you were then going to graft back into your father's business?
Yeah, pretty much. So my grandfather was in the role that I took over. So
I forgot that.
Pop, who was already retired, was doing 1 or 2 days a week, helping Dad out, basically doing the estimating,
Yeah.
a little bit of design. So they had a drafty that would basically just draw. She didn't do an awful lot of actual design. So Pop and Dad used to do a lot of design where they had all, couches and stuff cut out of paper, and they used to basically move it around and sketch it out.
That's pretty cool.
Still had the drawing board up in the office, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I basically took over from Pop and tried to alleviate a bit of
Red
Dad's
Tech
load
into
as
it.
well. Tried to. That's been a battle, but yes.
Yeah. When we first met, do your parents still live in that house?
Yes.
That's a beautiful house. The gardens are beautiful as well.
Yep.
I would love to walk my granny through those gardens. When from that point going back up to when we met, how long was that? Because then you were pretty well within that role.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, so I moved back up to Brisbane in 2014, I believe it was.
Okay, so quite a while.
Yeah, so it would have been 4 or 5 years when we met up at that time.
Yeah. Okay, and then what transition? If we go 2014 to 2020.
Yep.
What did you see within the business and within the industry?
Yeah, so 2014 to 2020, for us, there was growth, but it wasn't massive growth. It was more catching up.
Okay.
So Dad, being an old school builder, everything was very paper based, very, very much reliant on him having to do everything. Whereas I'm sort of much different from a different generation. Everything we try and do is obviously very tech based. I tried as much as I possibly could not to print anything. And then we tried to really push the design aspect a lot further, and really develop what we're offering and that sort of things a lot more as well.
Yep.
I tried to set the company up in a way that Dad could step back a little bit more and work towards retirement.
Yeah. Because at that stage, the plan was you were going to be taking over one day.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yep. So we progressed with one of our leading hands to a supervisor position. I was running the office side of things and doing a bit of project management when the supervisor needed it.
Yep.
And then Dad was sort of in more of a sales role or floating role where he could have a bit more flexibility at that point.
What was it like back then? Because obviously now we know when we look at the industry, and again, we're going to dive into more this idea of designs getting designed and it just being well beyond budget expectations and in terms of what's practical. And the huge contributor to that has been inflation of costs of building. But it's not a new problem. You would have seen that problem back then. What did the problem and the challenge back then look like, and how are you overcoming it versus today?
We sort of had our niche, so I suppose is the best answer to that. So we were specialising in second story extensions. We had that system down pat really well. So we knew how long it took us to build every single one of them. The materials were almost rinse and repeat between them. So apart from the price escalation of the materials themselves, it was something that we could really easily quantify and qualify going forward. And being design and construct, like solely design and construct, meant that we could manage the finish as well. So, we were setting that expectation from a pricing perspective the whole way through, and we could really control the cost as a result of that.
Okay. Talk me through let's go today. Otherwise, if we talk about old pricing, it really isn't that relevant. Today's pricing.
Yep.
I'm doing a second story addition.
Yep.
Average. What is it? I had the question in my mind there. I guess I'm trying to understand.
What's the difference in the last 10 years sort of thing?
Yeah.
My project's a great example, right?
Okay.
So I did a big second story extension on my own property when COVID first hit.
Yeah.
So I added 128 square metres on the upper level of my house, basically doubled the footprint.
Wow.
Turned it from a 3-bed 1-bath to a 6-bed 3-bath.
Okay.
Picked up a couple of HIA Awards and Master Builders Awards for that property. That cost me about 520 grand at the time. That's gone up 65%.
Oh, wow.
So if we were to build that exact same project again today, it'd be nearly double the price.
Yeah, okay.
And that's labour and materials as well. Like everything has gone up substantially. But on the flip side of that, I've still seen a massive equity growth in the property as well.
Oh, no doubt. Brisbane.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Brisbane, but the property market as well. Like the property market since COVID has nearly kept up with the price rises.
Mm-hmm.
So people have got a lot more equity. It's just what we're finding is the conversation is people coming to terms with what construction's actually costing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, building that trust around, this is what it is and this is why.
Yeah, right. And so we'll come back to that, definitely, because I do want to sit in that topic for a while. But just finishing off this sort of history. Prior to Story Lab, long story short?
Long story short, I got burnt
dad.
out from COVID.
Okay.
So Dad wanted to retire.
Yeah.
I was basically covering for guys as people were off sick or subbies.
Yeah.
Concrete is not rocking up on site, and I was the only one that could screed.
Yeah.
So I was just getting pushed beyond my limits.
All over.
Yeah, basically working full-time on site, running the company, running the design side of things as well.
For what company?
For Update Renovate.
Okay, yeah.
And it just wasn't sustainable.
Yeah, right.
We fell pregnant with our third, and that sort of was the real push factor for me to make that choice. And
Choice being what?
Choice being that I didn't want to run the construction side of things.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So Dad wanted me to
So even with all that experience,
yeah.
because you talked about your goal being, I want to project manage and I want to do all this sort of stuff back.
That was my original goal, but what I found my strength was and what my real interest was the design.
Okay.
And that's sort of what
At
led
what
me to
stage
make
do you feel like you had that epiphany?
It's what I enjoyed the most.
Okay.
Out of all of it. And then the sense of achievement. The construction company to me was more about being able to follow the project the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And I sort of came to that realization as we got towards the end of it.
Yeah, right. And so then you didn't take over the business?
No. So yeah, basically Dad and I just came to an agreement where we split the business in two.
Yep.
I took the design arm and the licenses associated with that.
Yep.
And then Dad wound down the construction side of things to a point where he's now retired.
Yep.
So we started as Update Design to try and make sure that we could maintain any content that we'd produced and the name and the reputation that we'd built over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I teamed up with another builder on the north side of Brisbane and became their in-house designer. Okay. So we're two separate companies, but we work for them as their in-house designer, as a builder-led design team.
Awesome. Based on what you've shared with me, that has then continued to evolve.
Yeah, correct.
To then get you really where Story Lab is.
That's right. Yeah.
Today.
So we've grown. So 2 years ago it was just me. Yeah. When I split with Dad, I've now got 4 employees plus myself. Mm-hmm. One being an architect, a number of building designers, and another graduate architect as well. And what we're trying to do is use the model of that builder-led design and make it more accessible to other builders as well.
Okay. Let's break down the whole builder-led design. What is that and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so builder-led design is effectively collaboration. Okay. So that's both with builders, building design with my experience as a builder, mm-hmm. but also any other stakeholders. So whether it's certifiers, engineers, trying to involve anyone that has a massive impact on the project as early as we possibly can.
How early is that?
It's very project dependent. So builders definitely from the start. Like I want the builders involved in the first conversation that we have with the client to make sure that, one, their budget suits. Mm-hmm. So we keep an accurate spreadsheet ourselves, but I also like to get that data from the builders themselves as well.
Yeah. In terms of their previous projects?
Yeah, in terms of their previous projects, finding something that's similar and going, look, we built this one for $800,000. Mm-hmm. That means that, what you want to achieve, we can achieve something very, very similar, but your budget is going to have to be around that.
Yeah, okay. And what percentage of people are coming to you without a builder?
Without a builder at the moment is most of our clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do you help them find a builder, or how does that work?
That's a little bit of a grey area at the moment. Okay. What I'm trying to do is make sure that we're putting clients in touch with the right builder for them or their project.
Right. Okay.
So
what's an example of areas of matching, if you want to call that?
Yeah. So like JDL Constructions, my business partner, he runs a company that does primarily lift and build unders, like large Queenslanders. Their ideal project is 1.2 million and above.
Yep.
So the smaller stuff is what I'm trying to make sure I send towards someone that's more suited to that. Because same thing, like the size of the company has a big impact on the price. Because they've got higher overheads, they've got higher management, higher staff,
Yep.
compared to one guy on the tools with an apprentice, who may be able to achieve a smaller project at a more cost efficient rate.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, right. Okay. And so what took me through, because one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here to discuss is to break down this builder-led and the importance of that, because it's something I'm hearing more of, and I'll talk to a lot of builders, more of as in like I'm talking to more designers and architects who are more open to getting builders involved earlier.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are getting tired of designing and it's not going to site.
Yep.
But I'm still, like I spoke to you off camera, still having conversations with architects. I've had architects reach out and call me and tell me, what are you doing promoting this whole build and design concept? Builders don't know anything about design. They're builders build. We design.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is architects and building designers don't get taught the practical side of construction.
Okay.
Or any cost estimating. So and especially since COVID, with that massive price jump that we saw, no one's been able to keep up.
Okay.
And no one's got accurate data as to what the jobs actually cost now. So getting involved with builders earlier just eliminates or helps to break down that barrier. And, ultimately for designers as well, it's in their best interest to establish relationships with builders.
Yeah.
Because the builders are the ones that are going to hopefully be bringing repeat clients to the table, or wanting to establish a relationship with a designer that they can work with long term.
Well, you mentioned off camera a percentage of your designs getting to site. What does that look like for you?
So for me, it's 75%. So 75% of the plans that we draw proceed to construction.
Okay.
Which is huge. So
that is.
The statistics, it's a bit of a grey area, but the statistics are argued that it's the opposite at the moment. So 80% of plans that get drawn never get built. And that's purely because of that disconnect with pricing.
What do you think is happening there? You mentioned there that that's something like when it comes to design, because you've gone through all those formal learnings and would have probably experienced firsthand, pricing's not really coming into it.
Yeah.
The construction of it, not as much as really required.
No. They teach you the standards and they teach you the basics when it comes to this is what a floor joist is, this is what its purpose is.
Right.
But not much more than that.
Okay.
I mentioned this to you off camera as well, but a deck's a good example. You can single span a 240 floor joist for a deck up to 4 meters. If you go 4.5 or greater, you're going to have to introduce another bearer, another row of posts, which impacts the lower level if there's a lower level below that, but also impacts cost because you got another 4 or 5 posts, you got another bearer, you're slowing down construction. Because if you do that as a single span, you're just improving those efficiencies along the way as well, going further for the client's budget, but also making it easier for the builders to build.
Yeah, right. That's crazy. And you did tell me, but like what roughly, if we're talking half meter of deck?
It's a minimum 10 to 15 grand.
Yeah, that's crazy. For half meter.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't.
4 meters is a great size. Like it comes down to how you lay those spaces out and how they're usable.
Yeah. That's, what do you call that on a graph where it's like, there's that, or there's like, gets more efficient until it doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the peak. Yeah.
A builder that I know of that I really admire the way he goes about it, and like you just speak into this because it sounds like there's some definitely similarity there, is, and you could say he plays more in, they do in-house design as well, but they probably play more maybe you could say in the project home space, but also does, your $1.5 million projects, but understands the client's budget and then goes, cool, show me of past projects a rough idea of the level of finish you're looking for.
Yes.
Because that's the feeling that you're wanting to walk into a home that feels that level.
Yes.
That's your budget. now he'll come to them with, changes in like the square meterage, is a big factor.
Massive factor.
And then obviously there's some other areas he does very well when it comes to communicating certain things. Like one thing I've found fascinating was, let's say these are all your must-haves, be nice to haves, and let's say he gets all in, but one of the nice to haves is like a wine cellar or some cab, built in, and he goes, cool, that's going to push it over by like 20 grand. I'd rather, if your budget's 600,000, I'm going to rather bring it into you at 590.
Yep.
And go, I've left that cavity there. Looks nice as is, but there's when you're ready, you can get a joiner to come in and put it in there. I just think you've communicated that you've understood his desires, the client, you've factored it in, but you've worked within the budget.
And something we're seeing a lot more too is staging.
Staging?
Like staging projects. So we'll do a grand plan.
Yes.
Like I've got one at the moment in Gordon Park. We've designed a full lift and build under with an upper level extension as well.
Okay.
For them, they want the kitchen, living, dining upstairs. They're a family of two, so they're just trying to make sure they got a good sized master suite.
Yeah.
But the house needs to be restumped, so we're lifting it. We've done a full design for a ground floor extension. We're putting the slab down now, but we're not building it in. So when they decide that they want to actually sell the house, they can sell it with plans, all the posts in the right spot, all the plumbing's in, ready to go. It's basically just throwing wall frames up and building that in, but it's mitigating that cost up front so that they can do that in stages as they need to, but it's not doubling up on the cost. We're not just putting the stumps back in the same spot to then have to pull them out and put them back in a different spot in 2-3 years' time.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Actually, another good example of that, another builder, it's his own personal property in Wavell Heights. We've designed a 2-stage sort of extension where they're going to stay in the existing house as it is, build a 2-story extension out the back as like a wing on the house, move into that with a temporary set of stairs that we've sort of designed as part of it, lift the existing house, connect it, and then build underneath.
Wow, okay.
So they'll be able to stay on site during the build in a fully functioning house.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Wow.
Yep.
Talk me through more of this, getting the builder involved, really. And it might sound like I'm harping on about it, and maybe the listeners might find that as well, but I just think I'm not an expert, so I'm coming more of an outside perspective.
Yep.
Yes, I talk to predominantly builders, so maybe I'm biased towards builders. But that's what I find fascinating with you because of your background. You've got the passion for design, but you've come from a building background, and you see that as the best way to go about doing things.
Absolutely.
Is getting a builder involved early.
Yep.
What does it practically look like getting a builder involved? So you, builder, client?
Yep. So whether the client comes through the builder or the client comes through me directly, I like to have the builder in that first conversation. Because for me, the reason our conversion rate's so high is because we start with the right numbers. So that means that first conversation we're having with a client where they're telling us what their goals are with the property, what they need to achieve, and then we're going, okay, for that, to turn this 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house into a 4 or 5, we need to extend at least 50 to 60 square meters. This is how I think we'll probably end up doing it.
Yeah.
To achieve that, we're going to need a budget of 700, 800 grand, whatever it may be. If their budget is only 500 and we're being upfront with that at that point, that's setting the expectation. And that's why it's so important to have that builder involved in that first conversation. Because for the client, they're not then wasting any money getting a design done to only find out that it's 800 when they clearly stated that their budget was 5. But it also means that the builder's not wasting time quoting a project that's never going to eventuate or never going to meet that client's budget.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. There's one thing we try and help our guys with is understand if you can build a way better relationship with your client, trust, and just go and obviously get involved as early as possible, then
they're not looking anywhere else then.
Exactly. But also, let's say you do get involved a little bit late and you don't have as much input on the design within budget, so it comes over. That conversation then is not the end of it. You go, oh, it's over, bye-bye. Or it's over, I guess I need to find someone who can do it cheaper. It's, oh, it's over. All right, this is a journey. This is just part of this journey of getting it to site. Okay, what's next? Where can we play with things?
Yeah. And projects stall at that point too. Like if they get a quote from a builder and come in well above what their budget is, they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
You know, they can fire up at the builder and blame the builder, or they can fire up at the designer, but the designer will just point the finger at the builder and say, well, the builder's too expensive.
Yeah.
Get another price.
Which is an easy
It's just a cop-out.
scapegoat.
Exactly right. And then the clients get stuck in the cycle of going round and round in circles and nothing happens, and it's normally 2-3 years. They lose interest in it. They'll try and sell the house. They'll find something that's done because they've just lost all faith in the industry effectively.
Yeah. I've heard a few. Who was I talking to? A guy down in South Australia working. A client was getting some design. They spoke to him 4 years ago.
Yep.
And they've come back to him 4 years later, frustrated, spent a lot of money, hasn't gone any further than design. Yeah, and
we probably get a call a week on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we get heaps. So much so that we've actually sort of found that as a little bit of a marketing channel for us under redesign.
Okay.
So we're, you know, with the building experience and getting involved with the builders, where we're trying to get the project back on track.
Yep.
And, you know, for us, it's a great conversion. We're like 90% on those. Because ultimately the clients are like, we know
they
what
want to
our
get it
goal is.
done. It's just we need the bridge.
That's exactly it. Exactly right. And they're clear on what their budget is.
Yeah.
You know, they know it's going to be more than what their original budget was, and they've got a better idea of what they have to spend to achieve it.
Yeah.
And then ultimately it's on us to then go, well, if your budget's 900, you know, if we're working on $4,500-5,000 a meter, whatever it is based on our data, we've got to design something that's within 250 square meters.
What? Where do you think things are going skew? Because it feels straightforward. It's like, that's your budget, that's it working. We can only add on X square meterage.
Because designers are still working off rates like $2,000 to $2,500 a meter. I saw some data come through from an architect in Brisbane recently, like only last week actually, where they'd done a cost estimate where they had rates for each different area. So there was a pool, there was the house extension. They're working on $2,500 a square meter.
I don't think project home builders are there anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, Metricons are still a little bit different to that, I think.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's just a 3-line item sort of thing going, this is what we think it's going to cost you. And, well, you know, I looked at that and business partner looked at that and went, well, it's double.
Wow.
That set of plans, what they want to achieve is double that price.
Going back to the example you said earlier, where it was like, cool, I've got 500. The design, you know, it was going way over, it's 800.
Yep.
And you've said, you know, you're looking at least 800. If you're looking at this, and this, you want to add in. At that point, what does the conversation look like?
If they've already got a design, normally they're sort of at their wit's end. Going,
Okay.
Is the price we've received right? Is that what we're expecting? Most of the time they're trying to get it down.
Okay.
So what we do from a redesign perspective, we offer a discounted design fee as a promise to get the project back on track.
Yeah.
We're committing time and effort to it, so we do have to recoup some cost.
And at that stage, are you getting a builder involved?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like it just makes so much sense. Why would you not get assembled? Like, you don't go out and play on a field without a team assembled.
Yeah, correct.
You don't. The hooter goes and it's like,
Yeah,
Jack, do you want to jump on and play?
Yeah, that's
do you
right.
want to, you know?
Is anyone here? Can someone help us out?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, right. What's yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the earlier the builders get involved, the better. And even from a relationships perspective, because they're built like same with the designer. Like we're working with the client right from the start. We're building that relationship. We're chatting the whole way through. When it comes to, you know, receiving that quote, the ice is already broken. You know, you can have a really clear and upfront conversation with them. If there's some nice to haves in there that having a big impact on price, go, well, we can pull those bits and pieces out. That's going to help you get down here, or whatever it needs to be. Or if there's some feedback that they want to pass on. If they want to use a different retaining wall system or something like that, that's more cost effective for the client. That's something that we can incorporate at the design stage right from the start.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to get you and some other designers and builders in a room and just
hash it out.
Yeah, I've had the joke before. It's like, let's if we were to run an event and just have like a panel discussion of designers and architects and builders, and have a room full of everyone in between.
Yeah,
and just obviously you got to come with the right mindset, and there are those that are going to be very stuck in their ways. But like, there's got to be a middle ground. Like, why is there this? And it is nice. The more I'm talking to designers and architects that maybe listen to the podcast, or they're more and more open to that, and it more and more going, that's what I want that. Like we want everyone involved. We want the team assembled at the beginning.
Yep.
I know Amelia Lee's. We had her on the podcast a while back, and she's big on that. Choose the builder. Cool. You want me to design? All right. Have you got a builder? Let's go find your builder.
Yeah, that's right.
And work with one builder from the start.
Yep. Because if you're just shopping around for the cheapest price, you're going to get stung.
Yeah. Man. Okay. Talk me through then Story Lab.
Yep.
How did that?
So Story Lab's a new rebranding. So effectively, it's Update Design is what we started as.
Yes.
I wanted to sort of take a step back from the Update Renovate background a little bit more, and sort of evolve the brand to better suit the level of finish that we provide from a design perspective, because we're quite forward with the technology that we use and what we produce from a set of plans, both at the concept stage and obviously through construction and interiors as well.
Okay. What does that look like when you say forward when it comes to tech?
Well, let's put it this way. So when it's a renovation and extension, we are scanning a house. So we've got a LiDAR scanner ourselves.
Okay.
So we don't run around with a tape measure. We've got basically, it's a camera on a tripod.
Yep.
Every time we move it around the house, I'll normally take 60 to 100 scans of a property.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It takes 10 million dimensions per scan.
Holy smokes.
And what that does is we get a file from that called a point cloud, which is made up of all those individual dimensions that we bring into ArchiCAD. And then we've effectively got a virtual double of the house itself that we can trace. So it means that we can see, basically it replaces obviously a site measure for us, but also to a degree replaces a survey, because we can map all the contours of the site from that initial scan. It only takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours on site. Wow. I can see bearing and joist positions and sizes. I can see all the plumbing and services that is visible.
Yeah.
I can see if there's lumps and bumps in the floor, if the walls are out of plumb. So that sort of data we can flag early as well.
I mean, just talk me through the plumbing, because you did talk to me about the other day, and I was like, plumbing, what? Like out of plumb, as in the pipes don't connect up? But
no. Walls out of plumb.
Okay,
yeah,
they're not straight.
Correct, not straight. Well,
yeah,
straight's running down a length, right? Out of plumb as if the top of the wall's hanging out that way.
Yeah, and what sort of problems does that cause later on?
Well, normally if you run around with the tape measure, we'll take a dimension, say it's halfway up a wall. If that wall's out of plumb, say it's 30 mil out of plumb, it means it could be 30 mil difference depending on where we measure that from. So if we're tight to a boundary, say we're working with a 900 mil of a boundary, we've got fire rating that comes into play if we're closer than that. If we've taken a dimension and all of a sudden part of that wall is within that 900, technically we have to be fire rated. Yeah. So it allows us to be more accurate up front with all our information that we're providing to the builder for them to build from, just to avoid any issues later in the piece.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
And then from there, it's the program we use isn't the standard one. There's sort of two big programs, being Revit and ArchiCAD globally. We use ArchiCAD, which is quite rare in Brisbane.
All right. Why do you think that is?
It's not taught, is the biggest reason.
Okay.
So it's heavily used on the Gold Coast because it's taught in the university in TAFE here.
Yep.
But in Brisbane, Revit seems to be the preference.
That concept I find fascinating.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
A book. It's called Factfulness.
Yep.
Have you come across it?
Yeah.
Orange book?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to read it again. It's such a great reminder to not just take at face value information being presented.
Yep.
For those out there who haven't read the book, brilliant book. I forget the author. But the whole concept is the facts that people use in everyday language or building your worldview is based on information that most of us have never fact checked.
Yes.
Things like, 80% of the world live on $1 a day, or, it's like, really? Have you fact checked that? And when was that data pulled? Because this book
how relevant is it today?
Totally.
Yeah, massively,
And but he also in that book highlights the fact that a lot of the time we're quoting information that, say, we were taught by our teachers or educators, and they're quoting it from when they were given it by their educators. So sometimes you're speaking with a worldview or whatever, a worldview of 10, 20, 30 years old.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened in 30 years, and it's going to be happening even faster.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah. Well, the point cloud that we use is a great example of that. Like, people are afraid of change. You talk to an older designer or someone, they'll just run around with a tape measure because that's what they've always done. This information's available. There's a big cost factor to getting the equipment set up and learning how to actually interpret and use that data. Yeah. But for us, now that we've got it, like it's been instrumental for us, because it's also part of that scan. We get a Google Earth tour of the house as well, which we share with builders, certifiers, engineers, and any other trades. So when it comes to pricing, rather than running around and taking photos of what the existing house looks like, they've got a full virtual tour of it. So much so that we're now doing a scan at frame stage, just for record keeping, that we share with the engineer and certifier as well. And then we're doing a practical completion scan, which is help building a little virtual library of, completed homes, but it also serves as a dilapidation report. So if the clients move in and then go, hang on a second, this tile's cracked, or there's a scratch on this wall, we can go back through and go, hang on a second, there wasn't. We've got a record of the day that we handed over of that completed project.
So you'll scan it before handover?
Yeah.
Where it's completed?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And then at the design stage, we can show people through these homes that we've done and show them elements that we don't otherwise have photos of, or how the house flows and feels and all the rest of it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. One thing that because before I put two and two together in terms of you and Story Lab, I knew there was some connection. I didn't realize it was part of the rebrand, but I looked at the way that you were communicating what you do, and I was like, that's cool. Where did that come about? Just you got story in there. So I mean, all that we do, we definitely resonate with that. Yes. Love that. But where did that come from?
So we got a branding guy that sort of helped us develop the name.
Okay.
But the background is, every house has got a story. Every design's got a story.
Amen. Right.
Whether it starts with someone coming to us from scratch, or whether it's a redesign and we've brought it back in and got the project done for them, or it's they want to create their own story. That's sort of where that name started, and then it also plays on the fact that my building experience doing the second story extensions as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we're trying to find a unique name that wasn't a descriptive name.
Yeah,
was the biggest thing.
And the lab part,
just being working together as a team. Again, trying to reiterate that builder-led design and the team-based design where we're all collaborating together.
That's epic. That's awesome. Talk me through, with this redesign, with all this experience that you've now built and this momentum that you've got, where do you see things heading for Story Lab and the role you're playing in the industry at large?
Onwards and upwards, I suppose, is the biggest thing, right? Like, we've grown rapidly. For me, I'm trying to work on efficiencies at the moment, so I'm getting pushed more into a sales role, but I need to make sure, and it's one thing I always want to maintain, is making sure that I touch every set of plans that leaves our office, because, I can teach and I can pass on the knowledge that I've got, but no one's sort of stepped in my shoes or no one's got that same experience that I have. And then making sure that we involve the builders, involve the certifiers and engineers and any other stakeholders as early as we need to make sure we've got that relevant data and information up front to avoid any issues with pricing when it comes to that point.
One thing you mentioned earlier was that you help clients, or if a client doesn't have a builder, you wanted to get the builder involved early, but you are working closely with a Brisbane builder.
Yeah.
How does that look for other builders, outside builders?
Absolutely. So I'm actually trying to get some other builders on my books at the moment. So if a builder comes to me with a client, It's solely their project. So they're involved from the start. The plans get co-branded with their details
I'm
as
sure
well.
that sounds so sweet to many builders.
Yeah.
Just it's your client.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
No, it's not my goal to shop it around. Ultimately, I'm trying to establish relationships with builders that we can work with consistently.
Okay.
Trying to make sure that we're all aligned, we're working towards the same goals.
Yeah.
And, they want to be involved with the clients and with the design aspect as much as we want them to be as well.
Okay. That's awesome. What's the best way for anyone listening to this, potential clients, builders, best way to approach you or to bring a client to you? Or
give me a call. It just starts with a conversation.
Yeah.
Then we try and get you in the office and we'll have a sit down where we've got all that information on file. We can bring up relevant plans. We can show you what we do, how we do it.
Yeah.
And we can also show you a lot of that data when it comes to pricing as well.
Epic. Awesome. In regards to your team,
Yeah.
because obviously you've hand selected them and
Yeah.
they're walking through certain processes so they can bring in their own flavour but also imitate you as much as possible.
It's been one of the best things about growing, actually. Like
Yeah.
every person that I've hired has brought something different to the table.
What's an example of that, you reckon?
It's experience. So I've got Cass who's working with me at Update Renovate.
Yeah.
She was the first person I hired again as we grew. She's formerly a pilot, but she's got a strong experience and she did a lot of volume-based stuff for an investment builder on the Gold Coast. So she was really good at, getting the siting plans done and really being able to place and manipulate within, existing boundaries.
Yeah.
Then we hired Kate, who's an architectural graduate. She's got much more of an architectural or, artistic flair.
Okay.
Instead of being so rigid, building background, everything off like square, straight.
Yeah.
I don't want to introduce curves. I hate columns, round columns and all that sort of thing. But Kate's really been quite, really opened our eyes a lot more to that sort of thing. So it's sort of working to find that balance of where we can introduce curves and features, but making sure that they're cost effective and buildable, and we're not introducing, additional complexity to a project that otherwise wouldn't be required. So one thing we try and do is if we're introducing curves, we'll try and introduce it in cabinetry. So the actual structure and all the wall frames are still square and straight and achievable from an engineering and building perspective. And then the cabinetry is where we can really play with shapes where we want to.
Right.
And then Jo, she's come from New Zealand, and over in New Zealand, their codes are completely different. So their builders don't necessarily work off standards. They work off the plans. So Jo had to draw every intersection, every flashing detail, every wall connection, every different, material connection. So the builders would build off that. So her technical experience and her ability to sketch all those details
To
out,
draw how it's going to be constructed.
is fantastic.
Wow.
And she's really helped us to add that additional detail where we need to, and really bring that along as well. And I've got an architect starting in 2 weeks.
Wow. How'd you find, what drew you towards them?
So she's got more of a commercial background.
Okay.
But she's got an interest in doing more residential work and primarily more development-based work. So I wanted to bring her on board to gain that experience, and also for the architectural experience as well. So for me, there's a little bit of staff retention sort of comes into play there.
Yep.
Because with, 3 of us with building design experience, we can go down a different pathway and get registered as an architect if we've worked with or under an architect for a number of years.
Okay.
So we'd try to make sure that we can provide that development for staff within our bounds as well.
That's cool. And you guys design primarily just Brisbane, or how wide?
We license in Queensland.
Okay.
Is probably the bigger driver. I prefer to stick to Brisbane where we can, because we know the codes, we know the councils, and what we've got to build to really, really well. But I'll definitely travel Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
That's no issue at all, particularly with the scans, because one site visit and we can get all the information we need.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is true. And then all the others that you need to get involved in the team then have that to work off.
Yeah, correct.
So make it easy for them.
Yeah, absolutely does.
Have you come across, are you coming across other designers with your perspective on things and your approach?
Not many, no.
Okay.
No, not really.
I was hoping for
Be
another
careful
answer.
about what I say. I'm very careful about what I say here.
Yeah.
Especially with the redesign, like I have to be careful about how we talk about that as well.
Totally.
But yeah.
Yeah.
For us, it's more about we're trying to work for the client. Ultimately, like we're trying to get things built. You know, whether that means we're telling the client that their budget doesn't suit what they want to achieve, and just being completely upfront with that. I prefer to go down that path than, you know, promise them something that we know we can't deliver just to make a sale, and then ultimately that's going to reflect badly on us. You know, if we can be upfront and tell them that it doesn't suit their budget, they decide to sell that house and find something that does. You know, as far as I'm concerned, we've done the job.
Coming back to, because you mentioned that figure, about 75% of what you design gets built. Prior to that, though, I'm sure you're having lots of conversations with people and setting it straight, going, that's a little way off. How often do you find that once you educate them and once you can just have a conversation with them, educate them on where things really are and that there is a solution out there? Yeah, I feel like because that's a conversation I want to encourage a lot of guys to still be open to, rather than, because often, you know, we help with a lot of our builders, and the fruit of what we do in many cases is people approach them and say, we'd like to build with you, this is our budget, this is what we have in mind. And some of them, I think, struggle with the, that's way off, sorry, can't help you. You know, and the door gets shut there.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And there are others that maybe they've got a background in extensive experience in communication, or just where they come from, and they can, they're more open to the discussion.
Yeah.
And they can educate someone. And I find that in many cases, it's surprising what happens once someone, because often I'll say, my budget's 500, my budget's $1 million. When really, yes, that's what they've clicked on. But that's just what they've hoped. They're hoping, or that's just what they've in their mind said. Well, that's what I think I would spend for that.
Yeah. So that's where it's important to have some relevant information, whether it's previous projects or previous plans in our case. And we go, you know, what you want to achieve, you know, this house is really similar. You know, in Brisbane in particular, there's a lot of those old pre-46 homes that are almost rinse and repeat. Like I reckon I've got a design for most homes in Brisbane. Wow. You know, what we want to achieve or what's been done to that house differs a lot.
Okay.
But we tend to always have a starting point. So ultimately it comes down to going, well, what you had, like if they've got pre-existing drawings, it's going, well, what you've had drawings above your budget. This is why. You know, it's a 200 square metre extension. Yeah. It's like the size is what's driving the biggest cost factor. Biggest thing we could do is actually scale that back. Okay. You know, if you're starting with that suggestion instead of just saying, oh, it's well over budget, you know, go back to the drawing board. If you can provide some relevant example and going, you know, for your budget, this is a project I've done recently. Here's a good example. You know, we did a full internal gut and reno of this house. You know, yes, we didn't add 200 square meters. We added 50. But, you know, within that existing footprint, we can do a lot with that as well. You know, like I had a house in Kelvin Grove I did recently. Previously owned by a developer, split the back off, did 3 townhouses that looked down over the back of this house. Yep. He did nothing to it, basically just sold the house off as it was, and then our clients bought it. Okay. It was a little 3-bedroom, 1.5-ish bathroom. They'd sort of tacked another bathroom on for like a tenant living in there. Yeah. We managed to turn it into a 4-bed, 2-bathroom within the same footprint. And all I did, so I had 2 beams like 2 walls that I took out. The rest of it was just reconfiguring the spaces internally.
How much does the old floor plan resemble the new floor plan?
It's completely different. Like the
I suppose it would have to be to achieve what you've achieved, but that's a very silly question.
But
that's boggling.
Realistically,
amazing.
We only took 2 walls out. So we had 2 beams supporting a tin roof, so minimal load. Yeah. Floors were already shot, so we're putting new flooring down anyway. So we did an overlay floor across the whole lot. Yeah. And then the primary goal for that one was to get the kitchen to the front, or kitchen and living room to the front of the house. Yeah. So it was away from being seen. Because they were just getting looked straight down on.
This is what you're cooking for dinner. You're washing your dishes. Yeah.
And then the front faced north too. So like they had the better outlook. They had a nice little deck on the front.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I was talking to a friend recently, she's got a background in project management, personally been involved with a bunch of builds, and she's seeing this problem and challenge in the space, and she's wanting to come in, and her big goal is to just specialize in secondary dwellings and under existing roof lines.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's brilliant because there's so much opportunity in that space.
Massive amount, yeah.
But again, assembling the right team from the beginning, having everything in house.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. And then, that particular project, I think that was 450 in the end, but that was with ducted air conditioning, full internal paint, full new flooring, whole new internal of the house, and solar. And ultimately, they still achieved an extra 300 grand in equity because they got it to a 4-bedroom house.
Wow. Are you allowed to say what they're invested in the build?
Yeah, it was 450.
Okay.
Yeah, was the price.
Okay.
You compare that to a lift and build under,
Yeah.
where you're talking a minimum $1 million
Oh, wow.
to get it to a 5-bedroom house.
Wow. Why lift up, build under versus second story addition?
Depends on the age of the house.
Okay.
So if it's pre-46,
Yeah.
so covered by a character or heritage or traditional building character, you have to have any alterations behind the ridge. Mm-hmm. So whether it's a hip end or gable end, you have to be back beyond that first point of the roof.
So it's easier then just to lift it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the supported type of development for those homes.
Yeah.
Where if it's a slab on ground, like a 90-0 or an 80-0 project home, you can't lift those. Most of the time, they're on a tighter block where you don't have much of an option to extend it.
Yeah.
So realistically, second story is your only way. Or it has no impact on the yard space that they do have.
Again, with your knowledge and experience, where do you foresee the industry going, and where do you foresee the greatest opportunity for a large majority of our listeners are builders? So let's say from that perspective, where do you see a good portion of opportunity out there?
Bespoke new homes at the moment.
Bespoke new homes?
Yeah.
That is the last thing I expected coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, my mouth, yeah. I know,
Talk
right?
me through that.
We're just seeing a better cost efficiency because the renos and extensions are very specialised now.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to the trade base. So whether it's subbies or carpenters, everyone sort of knows their worth a little more, and it's more labour intensive. Whereas, if it's like a 70s or 80s era home and it's in pretty original condition, we're seeing it more cost viable to actually knock that down and build a new home, and especially a custom home where you'll get a better return on investment. You'll achieve everything you want to achieve without any limitations or constraints. Because every renovation extension's always got something that we're working around. Whether it's the living room stays on the front of the house and you've got your open plan kitchen and dining on the back, or you've got an open carport as opposed to a garage, and then you really want a garage. That's not part of that works. Whereas if it's a custom new home, you've got so much more ability to play with it. And then the bespoke homes, you'll see in the market are selling so much better as well because it's unique, it's different. It's not just a rinse and repeat project home.
What defines a bespoke home?
Just being unique, not being, everyone can tell a cookie cutter project home. You drive down the street and you can see there's 10 of the same, right? Yep.
Yeah.
There's a couple of notable builders and designers in Brisbane that do a lot of bespoke homes and really unique homes.
Okay.
They're the sort of things that we're seeing are really starting to track really well. And that's a service we're offering now.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yep.
I've got to say that was the last thing I expected coming out. I thought, especially with the DNA of update, renovate.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very much it's
design.
client budget dependent though, right? Mm-hmm. Like if a client's coming to us, they got 500 grand to spend. Go, yeah, well, it's going to be a renovation extension because you're not going to get a new home for that.
Yeah, totally.
If you're looking at $1 million plus, yeah, you're going to be on the cusp. It's probably going to be more cost effective to knock that down and build a brand new one.
But then again, it comes down to assembling the team.
Yep.
What do you want to achieve? Yeah.
But even the staged approach, like I've got one in Rochedale at the moment, it's a new home. But what we're doing for her, we've designed a secondary dwelling or a pool house that she's going to move into first. However, that's part of the main house design. So even though it's going to be a separate dwelling, it's consistent with it.
So you'll build. Well, the builder will build that first.
Yeah, we'll build
She'll
that
move
first.
in there.
Yep.
Then they'll build.
Then they knock down the house and build the main house.
Yep.
And then that means that she's not renting.
Yep.
She's offsetting that cost. And what she's building as a temporary house is still an asset to their property. And she's got a 15-year-old son. So for her, it gives him some ability to move out of home and some independence.
Yeah.
Or for her, if she's got aging relatives or whatever the case may be, it's an asset on the property. Or if she gets to a point where she wants to turn to investment, it also becomes dual income.
What have you? No doubt you've seen a bit of those secondary dwellings in your time.
Yep.
Is the market property value wise pricing those in? Have they, or is that still being undervalued? Do you think?
It depends who you talk to. There's a lot of agents, like real estate agents, that say that they detract from the value. But I think it depends on how well they're designed in.
Okay.
Like in these cases, they're part of the house. Like it's more of a pool house that adjoins the pool area, and it's part of their outdoor living space. However, it can be easily separated off and made more private if needs be.
Because if it's, I imagine in my head, a pool house is like, okay, secondary dwelling, you're putting family members in there, who are open to just dwelling in the same space together. You don't have to be eating out of the same table every night. But if you want privacy, let's say you want to put you want to rent it out, and then you extra income, then you need privacy. Yeah. And they want privacy. So.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, right. Fascinating. Man, Ray, I reckon we could keep talking all day, but I think that's awesome that you've just walked us through that. And I'm, again, very grateful to have you on here and from your background. And it's been awesome to see your journey.
Yeah, I've got to where I have,
Yeah, honestly. I was, I'm still bummed that we didn't get to tell your story back then, because that was a 3-generational story that would have been incredible. Well, I look forward to maybe having you come down to our place one day.
Cool.
That'd be awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.